Coming up this week on Winter Speed, we'll take you back to Canada, Olympic Park in Calgary for more World Cup bobsledding. In case you missed the program last week, then you missed some wild action.
And it's Marino, Canada number 3, charging to the finish. Never been better than 10th place in a World Cup, could take the lead. Yes! This is unbelievable.
More bobsledding from Calgary coming up on Winter Speed. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer, coming to you this week from the Speed Skating Oval here in Lake Placid, New York. It was just 11 years ago, right on this spot, that the United States enjoyed perhaps its greatest Olympic memory. Eric Heiden winning 5 gold medals in 1 Olympics. But we're here this week to talk about bobsledding and the 2-man World Cup from Calgary, Alberta. 21 nations on hand, including Canada and the United States, the USA featuring Edwin Moses pushing behind Brian Scheimer. Now to tell you more about this week's race, let's go to Calgary and John Morgan and Clark Flynn.
Thanks, Tim. Hi, everybody. I'm John Morgan. With me, Clark Flynn, former member of the Canadian Olympic bobsled team. Welcome to Canada Olympic Park, Calgary, Alberta, for Winter Speed's coverage of World Cup 2-man bobsledding. This is a continuation of the event that we tried to cover last week, but of course that first heat was canceled due to unfair track conditions at the end of the first heat. Clark, good field, 21 countries?
The best we've seen here in Calgary, certainly since the Olympics. Gustav Vader, certainly the guy to watch, and he'll be challenged by Wolfgang Hoppe. We've also seen excellent times turned in this week by both the Canadian and the American teams.
Of course, last week we saw Edwin Moses of the United States team with Brian Scheimer. Moses' first bobsled event ever. In the first competition he was ever in, Moses and Scheimer had the fastest start time of the heat, something the United States is not used to.
No, and we can probably expect the same this week. They've had more time in training, more time to work together. We can expect some exploding starts for him and some of the other countries that needed this extra training time on the ice.
So when we come back, it's going to be the first heat of World Cup bobsledding from Calgary, Alberta. Stay with us.
All right, thanks, John, and we'll get to the action in a moment. You know, these guys go down the bob run at, say 80 miles per hour. If I were them, I'd like to have a little control of my destiny, and that's what they do. They steer their sled. And here's a look at just how they do it.
If you take a windy road, you turn your cruise control up to about 85 or 90, and just start heading down the road. That's what it feels like to a driver. Now to steer it, we just use our hands and our fingertips. Okay, and if everything is right, if we get on a curve in the correct spot and we come off in the correct spot, everything is fine. We just do very, very fine movements like this. Okay, but if you get in trouble, of course, you go lock to lock on the steering to save your hide. In a 2-man bobsled, if you make a fist on one side, not on the other, the sled will move over. Not too many people know that when you're going down a straightaway or something. So we try to tell all the crew members, if you got to make any adjustments once you get in a sled, make them in the curves where the pressure is. And there's never 2 runs the same down the track. Always something's different.
Bob Horvath, 42-year-old veteran USA pilot. When we return, we go to Calgary for World Cup bobsledding. Stay with us here on Winter Speed. Winter Speed is brought to you by 9X. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X. By Ray-Ban, sunglasses by Bosch & Lomb, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games. And by York International, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. On Saturday, February 23rd, 9X will be bringing together the world's greatest luge athletes at the 9X Luge Invitational in Lake Placid, New York. The most competitive U.S. luge team ever will be competing with the most impressive medalists from around the globe. 9X is proud to sponsor this world-class team, as well as the very first all-star luge competition. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X.
When you want it all for just one pay.
Sandals for you couples is the new vacation way.
You both come to play, put your wallets away.
Sandals for you couples is the all-inclusive way.
Water so bright, moon
for you couples is the new vacation way. Santa's in Jamaica, where love comes to stay.
Don't miss Countdown to the Stanley Cup every Monday night at 7 p.m. Join hosts Danny Guerra and Pete Weber each week as they bring you Sabres highlights, player interviews, special features, and the key matchups in the NHL. Catch all the action Monday nights at 7 p.m. on the Empire Sports Network.
When I'm here in Buffalo, I'm watching Danny Guerra on the Countdown to the Stanley Cup, right here on the Empire Sports Network.
Hi, this is Cliff Smith, inviting you to join me Wednesday night at 7:30 for Empire Sports Network coverage of Major League Expansion, The Visit. On Monday, the National League Expansion Committee visited Buffalo, toured Pilot Field. We'll show you what criteria the teams have to meet, take you inside the press conference, see what the committee had to say about what they had to see. Major League Expansion, The Visit, Wednesday night at 7:30 on the Empire Sports Network, the home of hometown heroes.
Welcome back to Winter Speed, everyone. Brian Scheimer and Edwin Moses are standing by at the start in Calgary. Also standing by, John Morgan and Clark Flynn. Your show, fellas.
We're up at the top now for our first competitor here in this World Cup two-man bobsled event from Calgary, Alberta. Here's Brian Scheimer, the 1988 Olympian who's moved up to the front seat. Pretty impressive. Him and Moses have been all week long in practice. You think they can get that time in the teens?
I don't think so, Johnny. You know, the sled weighs 220 kilos. It's about 440 pounds. I just don't know if Edwin can turn it over and push it. He's good in his sport of track and field, but here he's pushing that weight.
The record time here at Canada Olympic Park is 5.21.
Look at Edwin leg it out. He's running a long way.
5.30. Best start time we've seen so far. Of course, last week we saw the 5.29. Now Scheimer driving a Swiss sled. Hans Hildebrandt, the great Hans Hildebrandt, built this sled, sold it to a Swiss countryman who turned around and sold it to Scheimer.
Now, as you're watching here, you have to see that Edwin's got to get his head down a little lower. He's having a bit of a wind drag coefficient there. He's got to tuck right in behind Scheimer.
Oh, we saw his head pull out there. Minus 11, 118.9.
It's true, John, but it just banged in the straightaway. I think that's going to take some speed away from him.
Good exit out of Kreisel. Ryan Scheimer charging to the finish. Edwin Moses in the break. They're losing time. Minus 9. Another skid. He's looping it. 58.05. Scheimer does come through, but with the start time he had, I thought he should have cracked a 57.
Yeah, but he made that little mistake up in the straightaway before Kreisel. You know, he's got to let that sled just run, not touch the ropes. He can't bang the sides. It takes speed away. It works on the time.
Our next competitor, Canada #1 sled, driven by Greg Haydenluck, with Peter Stovall on the brakes. A guy that has a few track records on this course.
Yes, he does. He and Greg and Peter Stovall back in October 1989 in training had a 56.76, which still stands as the track record. I don't think they're going to be at that time today.
A different type of a start technique off the blocks, just like the Swiss shoes. Haydenluck uses a pretty good starting team. 5.45. Don't know why he's not getting better starts. He was doing that last year, a very excellent starter. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of snow flurries.
Well, that's going to slow the track down. They can't keep these kind of speeds up with this stuff getting into the track. It just bonds to the runners. It takes a lot of speed out of them.
Home track advantage here to this guy right here with Greg Haydenluck. He's been down many more times than anybody else, especially early in the season. Very technical track. Let's look for the speed. 119.3. Oh, he's going to be below that easy. That's a lot more speed than anybody else has carried through. The next time should be about dead even with that type of speed. There it is. Looks like he's going to catch the American at the bottom. This has got to be a high 57. There it is, 57.88. Home track advantage to Greg Haydenluck on the bottom. He carried great speed into the Kreisel, had a great Kreisel. Bottom part of the course, needless to say, took advantage of everything.
Certainly, he's been on here a long time. He knows the track well, and that's what you need to get ahead. You got to know these tracks. You got to have the ice time. I mentioned that he got a little high in the Kreisel, but that didn't affect his exit. He got a nice, clean exit, one of the few to make it Smooth, no ice, stayed nice and clean on that left-hand side as he came out.
Go, Jeff. Pivot it in now. Pivot it in. Go, Jeff. Just go, take go.
Up at the start now, Germany #1 with Wolfgang Hoppe and René Hahnemann on the brakes. This, of course, the famous East German pilot who's now sliding for Germany. Double silver medal here at the Calgary Olympics in '88. Double gold medalist in Sarajevo, and a ferocious starter.
See if they get a nice smooth entry in here. He does. Look at his brakeman. Nice and low right from the window.
5.31. Hope a big man. They say a driver like him comes along once every 15 years. The next Olympic Games, if he captures a silver and a bronze, he'll establish himself as the most famous Olympic bobsledder ever. And he's on a record pace now. Hoppe, in his first appearance for Germany. 119.3 kilometer speeds we're looking for. 119.2. Not as fast as the Canadian.
19.2. Nice smooth line all the way around. If you can get a nice exit and shoot into 10, it'll really help.
48.25 is the Canadian Haydenlock. He's got that. Whoa! Boy, did he shoot in and out of that Kreisel.
The track record set by Greg Haydenlock with 56.76. He'll be off of that, but he'll have the best one today.
57.76. Puts him in first place overall with a couple big guns yet to come. Wolfgang Hoppe, one of the famous bobsledders of all time. Well, they're breaking the action here in Winter Speed. Let's set it to Tim Singer in our Winter Speed Studios, Lake Placid.
All right, John, so the first few sleds, including Wolfgang Hoppe, are through and down. Time now on Winter Speed for our Ray-Ban USA Athlete of the Week profile. And this week, we take a close look at former UCLA football star turned bobsledder, Jeff Woodard. Athlete is in your blood. How did you get involved in bobsledding?
Well, I was working out at the gym one day, pumping some iron, and one of the guys from Federation worked out there, and he was referred to me by someone for bobsledding. And he came up to me, we talked about it, and this guy's got the gift of gab, and bobsled, like, what? Cold weather? Take away from the beach, from LA beaches, and go to the cold weather for 3 months, 4 or 5 months maybe? No way in the world. So, like I said, he had the gift of gab, so he convinced me. I would have bought an island in Alaska if he asked me to, the way he was talking to me. But he asked me, and I said, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot since Herschel and Willie Galton, Edwin Moses are involved with it. I said, well, what the heck, I might as well. So I got into it. Did real well at the Push Championships, set the track record there, and I said, maybe this is all right for me. Well, my goals right now is 92. That's where I'm heading for 92 right now. Right now, my current focus is winning the World Cup tour somewhere, somehow, and the Winter Championships, I think, which is in March, held in, I think, France, Hamburg, France. So that's where I'm headed right now. And then my long-term focus is, of course, 92 Olympics and 1, 2, or 3 place there somehow, some way. We can do it. We've got the athletics to do it. We've got the athletes, and we've got the coaches, and we just got to apply ourselves and get the mechanics down.
Oh my God.
Killer Loop, more than just a sunglass. Killer Loop, a lifestyle you can wear. Killer Loop, performance sunglasses by Bausch & Lomb.
Hi, I'm Gert Boyle, Chairman of Columbia Sportswear. My son Tim, our president, to demonstrate our interchange system. The liner zips in for maximum warmth. The outer shell is weatherproof. Wear it together or separately. Best of all, it comes in dozens of styles.
I voted against that.
The Columbia Interchange System.
Spend your Monday nights with the Empire Sports Network as we bring you a great lineup of sports programming. At 7 p.m., it's Countdown to the Stanley Cup with Danny Gare and Pete Weber. Join Pete and Danny as they bring you all the action from around the NHL. Keep up on the American Hockey League with Rinkside Hockey at 7:30 p.m. At 8 o'clock, don't miss the Grapevine with Don Cherry. Then at 8:30, catch all your former NHL great players on the Stars of Hockey. At 9:30 p.m., watch Racquetball's Best on Echelon New York Racquetball. At 10 p.m., improve your golf game with the Swing Doctor. Then at 10:30 p.m., catch all the news in Pocket Billiards with This Week in Pocket Billiards. Great sports programming every Monday night on the Empire Sports Network.
Winter Speed is brought to you by Ray-Ban, sunglasses by Bosch & Lomb, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games. By York International, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. And by 9X. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X.
Welcome back, everybody, to World Cup bobsledding. Our competitor on top of the hill, the 1990 double gold medalist in bobsledding at St. Moritz, Gustav Vader. Brakeman, Curtin Morel. Good starting team.
They hold this track record here for the start at 5:21, which is set at 88 Olympics. See if they can get close to that.
5.33. The best start time tonight, Brian Scheimer and Edwin Moses of the United States. Not often we say that.
No, but it's indicative of things to come. The United States is going to recruit good athletes, and with time and experience, they're going to really show it at the bottom of the run.
Here comes Gustav Darth Vader attacking this track. Anything above 119 kilometer speeds is what we want to see. 120, the best speed so far by Gustav Vader. Clean.
He's going to have an excellent run here. He's in the 7s. Look at how low his brakeman's tucked. You can't even see it when the sled goes past you.
Gustav Vader charging to the finish, 57.60 or so. 57.55. Blitz is into the lead. He knows it. His hands up.
Look at his brakeman jump on the brakes there. The snow flying all over the place.
Up at the top, our next competitor, Chris Laurie, Canada #2, with Doug Courier on the brakes. Laurie from Windsor, Ontario. And he's been doing very well in practice all week.
He has the start record here for the Canadians with a 5:24. That was with Ken LeBlanc back in 1989 at the Canadian Championship. Let's see what he can do with Doug here.
Anything below 5:35 will set himself up real nice. 5:34. Chris Laurie putting himself in a position to challenge the leaderboard.
Doug is just buried in that sled. He knows he can't make a mistake as a brakeman by shifting around. Chris needs every second he can get out here.
He's already lost a couple hundredths of time to Gustav Darth Vader. Got a couple hundredths back, though. He was 700ths to 5. We're looking for 120 kilometers of speed down here. 119.1, not the speed he wants.
Touched the edge there coming at 10, but that shouldn't hurt him out at all.
Plus 24. He lost some time someplace. He went from 500s to 24. He had some problems up before Kreisel because he had no speed. Still, it's good enough for 4th place for Chris Laurie, but he was only 500s behind before he got into that Kreisel. Lost a lot of time someplace.
He did, and it was in the Kreisel. He let himself get too high, about a halfway around the curve. He's got to keep a steady path and level all the way around. If he lets himself get up, he's going to lose speed because gravity's going to take him up, and then he's going to have to control the sled to bring it back down and get in that line that he wants.
Our next competitor from Jamaica, Dudley Stokes. Jerome Lewis on the brakes, Jamaica #1. This is the famous Dudley Stokes, the pilot from the Calgary 88 Olympic Games, that thrust himself into the national limelight. Thrust is what they just did at the start. Not enough, though, 5.68.
No, but you've seen the difference. Jerome Lewis, another first-year recruit, ran a lot further than his teammate we saw earlier run. And that's one of the keys. Now he's just got to learn to blow it out of the blocks. John, you're seeing him driving in the straightaways there. He's got to let the sled run, which means he's got to hold the ropes in his hands, but he can't pull them. We're seeing it happen again. He's got to make the transition. And too high there. Now he's looping it because it goes high, tries to bring him down, and what happens is it goes back up again.
How much of a squeeze does it take to steer this sled?
If you're holding a mouse in your hand, you don't want to take the breath out of it when you put your hand. You just got to touch it. It's just fingertip control.
So amazing little squeeze will take the sled out and off the course.
It will. These guys are driving for an inch of placement on the course. They can't. 2 inches is too far to one way that they want.
Well, Dudley Stokes is safely at the bottom. I wouldn't call it a clean trip, but anytime you get to the bottom, that's a successful venture for the Jamaican bobsled team. A break in the action, and we'll send it back to Tim Singer in Lake Placid.
All right, thanks, John Morgan. Tim Singer back here again in our outdoor winter speed studios here in Lake Placid, New York. It's just a couple of miles that way where we would find Mount Van Hoevenberg, still the only bobsled track in the United States. Well, let's stay with Mount Van Hoevenberg this week as York International presents Tracks of the World.
York International presents Tracks of the World.
At the 1932 Winter Olympic Games in Lake Placid, the bobsled track was 1.5 miles long. The run was shortened to 1 mile for the 80 Olympics, and its present length of 1,400 meters reflects just how today's high-tech sleds have become too fast and too dangerous for too long a run. That's the track info. Here now is a view of how the run really feels. USA driver Terry Nash.
We're off. We're approaching the first turn. Through the first turn into a big series of turns called Cliffside. Through Cliffside and into turn 6. Through 6, approaching 7. Through turn 7, approaching turn 8. Through 8, into the shady! Out of shady, approaching little S. Through S, approaching turn 12. Through 12, and zigzag, zagging. Zigzag on turn 15. Turn 15 approaching the finish turn. Through the finish turn.
Mount Van Hoevenberg remains a popular track, especially with the foreign competitors.
He
particularly likes the natural tracks and also the one in Lake Placid. Even though he's only driven there once, he likes that one as well.
The speed, certainly at Lake Placid, the speed going through zigzag is absolutely incredible.
Nice and rough. Fast, rough, like the old one better.
High in the Adirondack Mountains of New York State is a premier summer resort, Lake Placid. Enjoy the alpine village of Lake Placid. For your shortcut to the Alps, call toll-free 1-800-44-PLACID. No passport required.
It's RCA's Sports Blunder Video Contest. Your chance to have your funniest home sports videos shown on TV and win valuable prizes. Each month, we'll give away a 20-inch RCA Color TV, 2 tickets to a pro or college sporting event, and a great sports premium gift. Each month's first prize winner will compete for an RCA home theater. Send your funny homemade sports video to RCA Sports Blunder Video Contest. P.O. Box 555, Emerson, New Jersey, 07630. Entry should be no longer than 5 minutes and on VHS tape only. Contest ends June 28, 1991.
On Saturday, February 23rd, 9X will be bringing together the world's greatest luge athletes at the 9X Luge Invitational in Lake Placid, New York. The most competitive U.S. luge team ever will be competing with the most impressive medalists from around the globe. 9X is proud to sponsor this world-class team, as well as the very first all-star luge competition. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X.
the future stars of the NHL and some of hockey's most exciting young players as they battle for a shot at the NCAA championship on College Hockey USA. Join your host Jim Rich and Frank Mazzacco each Thursday at 7:30 on the Empire Sports Network. They'll take you around the nation with highlights from all the top matchups in Division I college hockey. College Hockey USA, Thursday at 7:30, seen exclusively here on the Empire Sports Network.
It's fast, it's tough, it's exciting. It's Buffalo Sabres hockey on Empire Sports. Tune in as the Buffalo Sabres take on the Quebec Nordiques. Thursday evening at 7:30 here on the Empire Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to Winter Speed, everyone. Tim Singer here in our Winter Speed Outdoor Studios in Lake Placid. Hi, what's your name?
Casey Saint.
Casey, you going to be a World Cup champ someday?
Yeah.
Okay, keep practicing. Thanks, Casey. World Cup, that's the subject of this segment in Winter Speed, a World Cup update of the winter sports, in particular bobsled and luge. While the World Cup bobsledders had a weekend off, some of the up-and-coming North American sliders were in Lake Placid, continuing the Can-Am series.
What I've been telling my boys is that if you can drive this track well, you can drive just about any track in the world.
In race number 1 of the two-man competition on Saturday, Canadian Dennis Marino took first place ahead of American Darren Peterson. In Sunday's second race of the weekend, a newcomer, David Rivers, led a Canadian sweep. The World Cup standings, of course, remain the same. Wolfgang Hoppe leading in the two-man, the Canadians running second and third, and American Brian Scheimer fourth. In four-man, it's Austrian Ingo Appelt out in front. Chuck Leonowitz, the American, is in fifth place. And in the combined standings, Canadian Chris Laurie continues to lead the rest of the world. It was likewise a week off for the World Cup lugers. Marcus Prock of Austria still leading in the standings for the men, but Duncan Kennedy of the United States in impressive 7th place. For the women, the Europeans, Erdmann, Weissensteiner, and Boda, 1, 2, 3. Cami Myler and Erin Warren of the United States in the top 10. As far as doubles, the Germans, 1 and 2. The American team of Suko and Tavares currently in 6th place. And congratulations go out to Tyler Seitz and Penny Lyle, Canadian junior champions at this past weekend's Nationals. You know, if there's anything more appealing in sports than a Cinderella story, it's a Cinderella story with a bit of a twist. A twist as in a Jamaican bobsled team.
This Jamaican bobsled update is being brought to you by the Jamaican Tourist Board, Air Jamaica, and Sandals, the Caribbean's #1 resort. All couples, all inclusive.
Well, they're real serious because he's got a lot of fear about this big four-man sled. He's all over the course right now. Watch. I don't think his speed's important here. He just wants to get to the bottom. Ooh. All he can do, up and down the Kreisel. This is bad for a four-man to do. They're watching the outlet here. Look at the hand. Oh, he's over. Oh, he's got problems there. Stay in the sled, guys. Oh.
High on the exit of the Kreisel, and we tipped over. Happens, but you know, it happened to us in the Olympics on TV, so it was big publicity there.
Worst nightmare, from day one. My worst nightmare was that I was going to be blamed for seriously injuring, if not killing, an athlete.
George Fitch had good reason to be concerned. The Jamaican bobsled team was his idea, or better yet, his answer to a dare.
Obviously, some bad Jamaican rum induced a suggestion of the challenge that I couldn't put together a Winter Olympic team from Jamaica to go to the upcoming Calgary Olympics, which is, what, 5-6 months away. And we showed up in Calgary, and I basically won my bet. We did what I attempted to do, which was to put together a team that would be respectable, that wouldn't come in last.
Actually, I was told to go. I was in the Army at the time, and they were looking for people with athletic ability who had some sort of proven coordination. And because I was a helicopter pilot, I was asked to try out. And so I went along, did it, and the rest is history.
I was just inviting people to try for the bobsled team. That was way back in 1987. I went, and here I am.
Jamaica. No winter paradise, but certainly the home to some fast and powerful athletes, vital ingredients in bobsled.
Yes, of course. We are known for explosive guys, and that's what we aim for when we had our trials, bobsled trials, and we have some good athletes here, so we should do well in bobsledding. What did you think of your first ride in the sled?
It was fast, that's the one.
What did you feel when you got to the bottom? Ready to do it again, or were you a little
Yes, I wanted to go again.
Well, I like it, but it was a bit scary.
And definitely we're very proud to have represented Jamaica for the very first time in a winter sport.
One Olympics down, another just ahead. Are these sun-soaked sliders really serious about their winter sports future?
Yeah, man.
Become an official member of the Jamaican Bobsled Federation Fan Club. Membership entitles you to a t-shirt, a hat, a pin, a membership card, and information on the team members. For more info concerning the Jam Bob Federation Fan Club and Site Selection Committee, call toll-free 1-800-BOBSLED.
And look for the Jamaicans to continue to improve in all of the winter sports because, of course, the weather is cool, man. We'll be back right after this.
This Jamaican Bobsled Update has been brought to you by the Jamaican Tourist Board, Air Jamaica, and Sandals, the Caribbean's #1 resort. All couples, all inclusive.
When you want it all for just one day.
Sandals for you couples is the new vacation way.
You both come to play. Put your wallets away.
Sandals for you couples is the all-inclusive way.
Water so bright, mood so right.
Sandals for you couples is the new vacation way. Sandals in Jamaica, where love comes to stay.
On Saturday, February 23rd, 9X will be bringing together the world's greatest luge athletes at the 9X Luge Invitational in Lake Placid, New York. The most competitive U.S. luge team ever will be competing with the most impressive medalists from around the globe. 9X is proud to sponsor this world-class team, as well as the very first all-star luge competition. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X.
Hi, this is Cliff Smith, inviting you to join me Wednesday night at 7:30 for Empire Sports Network coverage of Major League Expansion, The Visit. On Monday, the National League Expansion Committee visited Buffalo, toured Pilot Field. We'll show you what criteria the teams have to meet, take you inside the press conference, see what the committee had to say about what they had to see. Major League Expansion, The Visit, Wednesday night at 7:30 on the Empire Sports Network, the home of hometown heroes.
Brought to you by York International, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. By 9X, for quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X. And by Ray-Ban, sunglasses by Bosch & Lomb, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games.
Welcome back to Winter Speed, everyone. As you might expect, Gustav Vader and Wolfgang Hoppe are leading the way after the first heat of World Cup action. Right now, let's go back to John Morgan and Clark Flynn for the second round.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second heat of this World Cup bobsled competition. Up at the start, it's USA #2 Chuck Leonowitz, the driver from Clifton Park, New York. His brakeman, Jeff Woodard, also from the same area, now living in Los Angeles. Leonowitz, a bronze medal in this event last year in the four-man. Not as good a two-man pilot as he is in four-man, and because he gets up a little time at the start, Clark.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it helped. 5:44 is not a bad start. But what's really helped is the energy that his teammates are giving him during the start. A lot of encouragement that gets the guys pumped up. They can really drive off those blocks.
Well, beyond the energy is the U.S. program itself. They've got 10 deep up there, and all those athletes are just hanging around, waiting for the opportunity to compete. Now, Woodard was a football safety at UCLA and qualified for the Olympic trials in 1986 in the 200 meters. His athletic ability speaks for himself, and if he can transfer here to bobsledding, the U.S. has a lot to look forward to in the future. 117.7, that's a better kilometers for Leonowitz. He didn't have such a good heat in the first heat. Tied for 14th, the Italian three-sledding in the first heat.
He's driving really well on the bottom. Nice smooth, nice exits. He's not banging the sides.
58-78, 58-66. First place overall, the big guns yet to come. He puts in 2 times, 58-48, 58-66, consistent. Online at the top of Canada Olympic Park, Austria #1, Ingo Appelt, his brakeman Gerhard Rado. Appelt, the bronze medalist in the 4-man World Championships last year in San Moritz. Not driving his own sled, it's a borrowed sled. He has got his own 4-man here, but not his 2-man, 5:46 time. Now the 2 previous sleds to come down, the Italian and the American, were in a dead heat. They were 1300ths behind Ingo Appelt. So Appelt has to come down a time of 58.80 to have the American move in front of him.
It's difficult when you're using somebody else's equipment. And he's had lots of experience on this course, so let's see if he can try it the way the other countries have had to. They've come over here and borrowed equipment too.
Ingo Appelt, a very experienced pilot, knows how to take care of his equipment. 117.9 kilometers, the best speed we've seen in this heat. Good indication for Austria.
And coming from Innsbruck, he's an excellent driver on the Innsbruck course, and he's very good at the Kreisels. He doesn't lose any speed in there.
Ingo Appelt. Down the stretch, looks like about a 58.85, 58.59. He went from 4 seconds, 400ths up to 20 down, so he did something very good the last 3 quarters.
An excellent time. I think we can see that right from the Kreisel on down. He had control of this race.
Ingo Appelt with the quick hands and ensured himself the #1 placing to date. Our next competitor from Germany, the German #2 sled, Harold Schodai, Alex Young. This guy won both silver medals at the World Championships in San Moritz last year. He's tied for 8th place right now.
This return 5:36.
5:36 start. You know, he's better than we saw them do in the first year, which was 5:38. He's got an excellent brakeman, a former decathlete in the track and field event. And he himself, Harold Judai, was a paddler, a kayaker.
Boy, he just picked up some time. 1400s down now. This is an excellent pilot from the East German program. He's now sliding for the Germans. -4. Good heat for Shodai so far. We should be seeing about 118.8 clicks.
Look at how low they're getting in the
119.
In the curve here, you'd be able to see how low the brakeman is. He's not touching the drive at all. Total physical, and he does that for the aerodynamics. He wants an airflow to go over the driver's head, down his back, and out the back of the sled.
Harold Shodai really putting on a show here. Good heat. Wow, 57.94. He was dead heat with Phipps, half second. Must have had problems in the first heat. Exciting competition here from Calgary when we come back. The next 7 sleds from World Cup bobsledding here in Calgary. Stay with us.
There's a special theater where children can get involved with their own heritage. It's the Learning Center at Ellis Island, made possible by NINEX technology. NINEX believes children have a better idea of where they're going when they know where they've come from.
Oh my God.
Killer Loop, more than just a sunglass. Killer Loop, a lifestyle you can wear. Killer Loop, performance sunglasses by Bausch & Lomb. It's RCA's Sports Blunder Video Contest. Your chance to have your funniest home sports video shown on TV and win valuable prizes. Each month, we'll give away a 20-inch RCA color TV, 2 tickets to a pro or college sporting event, and a great sports premium gift. Each month's first prize winner will compete for an RCA home theater. Send your funny homemade sports video to RCA Sports Blunder Video Contest. P.O. Box 555, Emerson, New Jersey, 07630. Entry should be no longer than 5 minutes and on VHS tape only. Contest ends June 28, 1991.
Don't miss the excitement of Power Stick Hockey, the weekly NHL highlight show that gives you news and interviews with your favorite players from around the league. You'll see the action as only the men on the ice do, and you'll get the stories straight from the locker room. Catch Power Stick Hockey after each Buffalo Sabres game and on Wednesday nights at 7 here exclusively on the Empire Sports Network.
I'm Warren Miller, and for the last 40 years I've been traveling around the world in search of skiing at its finest, freest, and funniest. And when you can't be out on the slopes doing it yourself, do the next best thing. Share the thrills that we filmed of skiers all over the world. Tune in to Warren Miller Television and enjoy the scenery, the thrills and spills, and the laughs of skiing.
Welcome back, everybody, to World Cup bobsledding. Our competitor on top of the hill, USA #1, Brian Scheimer, Naples, Florida. Edwin Moses on the brakes. Edwin now living in Newport Beach, California. They had the best start time of the competition in the first heat of 5.30.
It helps every time they push out from the blocks. More experience for Edwin. It's his first year of doing it. Look at him leg it out, though. There's a guy who's run track for many years.
Enters the sled, gets in. 5.32, the best start time of the competition, or of this heat. 5.30 in the first heat. But boy, they're really got their hands full with that East German that just came down in front of them, Harold Schodai, or that German, excuse me. They're better, 1/100th better than that right there, but the next times we're going to start seeing are Schodai's, and boy, did he have some kind of heat.
Well, Brian's driving real well here. It's nice and smooth through all the curves. Let's see if he can get off quickly.
Watch him out of 8. We're looking for 119 kilometers. If he's going to challenge the East German, or the German, 118.3, plus 11.
118 kilometers an hour.
He's got to watch out. The Austrians and the Swiss right behind him also. Nick Phipps in Great Britain. So Scheimer's got to be smooth down here in the bottom part of the course. A little high there. Brian Scheimer and Edwin Moses to the finish. Their finish time, 58.28. The Schodai, the German, goes by him, puts him in second place overall.
It was a nice run. He let himself get a little high in that one curve, but he had a nice Kreisel and an excellent exit, which he needs to get that bottom speed.
What do you think they need to work on?
I think Brian's just got to get a little more experience, and they have to work on the load a bit. You know, they haven't had a lot of time together, and it's important for Edwin to move and accelerate right into that sled. He seems to be standing up in the push bars a bit.
Now up at the start, the policeman, Pasquale Gisquito and Antonio Tartaglia. Talia, #2. They were only 200ths of a second ahead of Brian Scheimer and Edwin Moses, only 400ths ahead of the German, Schodai, and boy, the German really threw great heat in, and the Italians got the pressure on. That's what bobsledding's all about, hundredths of seconds to start, 5.38.
They had an excellent load. Now let's see if they can stay low through the top curves. Gisquito can keep a nice smooth line.
Hundredths of seconds in a sport. About your fingertip. Oh, he's +6 to +4. It means he's got a good line going so far in Scheimer there. The next times we're going to start seeing are Harold Schodai of Germany. We're looking for 118 kilometers. He's got his head tucked. 118.6, good speed.
He's going for everything now.
Good exit. Time on the left is Shodai.
It's important for him to stay low on these curves.
He's not going to beat Shodai, but he's going to beat Brian Scheimer, looks like. Looks like about a 58.22, 58.14, puts him in second place overall. Brian Scheimer couldn't get him. United States moves him back into third place overall, so the policeman, battalion number 2 sled, Pasquale Gasquito, good run for them. Up at the top, Canada number 2, 5th place overall, it's Chris Laurie with his brakeman, Doug Courier. Laurie from Windsor, Ontario, Courier from Prescott, Ontario.
They're really pushing it out. This is Doug's. Doug isn't Chris's usual brakeman. Ken LeBlanc is, but Doug's replacing him.
5:31, great start time. They just beat Brian Scheimer and Edward Moses for the best start time of the heat. So Chris Laurie, he's got his work cut out for him.
He does, but that's what he needs, that start to have to finish at the bottom. Chris holds the Canadian start record here at 5:24, and 5:31 under these conditions is excellent.
He's only 0.17 of a second ahead of the Harold Schodai of Germany. He's minus 10 there. That's a good indicator. We're looking for 118.5 mile-an-hour speeds. 118.8 kilometers.
This is going to translate into a top speed at the bottom. Chris is going to move to the first place for sure with this time.
Watch for his 48.21, minus 2. He's got 1800s to play with. Looks good for Canada. He's got it. He didn't give up any time. He had a lot of time to play with. Chris Laurie, Canada number 1.
Right from the start, they had an excellent load. Doug got in and stayed low all the way. Chris has had a lot of experience on this track, and his training runs this week have been going well. You've seen it all there. If anybody can compete with that run, they're going to move themselves ahead of Chris.
Next up at the top, it doesn't end. Another German pilot, Volker Dietrich, Klaus Schmuck. One of them was from West Germany, the driver's from East Germany. They're now sliding for Germany.
4th place after the first heat. Still an excellent start. There's only a couple of sleds in front of them at that point, but they're working together. It's the first race they've competed together. Of course, before they were from different countries. Now the one.
0.04 of a second separates them and Chris Laurie. Chris Laurie, the Canadian pilot, just came down and launched himself into first place. Minus 1. Anything above 118.5 is good. 118.9. That's not good sign for the Canadians. We're dealing with hundreds of seconds. Volker Dietrich. Looks like he's going to maintain his lead. He's got 400s on Chris Laurie. He's minus 2 now.
Driving extremely well.
57.87 into first place. 0.07 of a second. It's about 2 fingers in length. We aren't done yet. We'll be back with the conclusion of World Cup bobsledding from Calgary. The best are yet to come. Stay with us.
What a performance. Peggy Fleming.
Oh, baby. What a terrible fall.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Highlights of these Winter Classics showcase 3 decades of televised sports history. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR to own the best of ABC's wide world of sports. Now on collectible cassettes each decade for only $19.98 plus $3 shipping and handling. Call 1-800-4ABC-VCR.
High in the Adirondack Mountains of New York State is a premier summer resort, Lake Placid. Enjoy the alpine village of Lake Placid. For your shortcut to the Alps, call toll-free 1-800-44-PLACID. No passport required.
Catch the challenge, the Tops TV Bowling Challenge, as the best kegglers in Western New York roll off for cash prizes.
Look at this. Get them while they're wiggling, Fran.
Join hosts Van Miller and pro bowler Mike Haynes. For qualifying information, call the Tonawanda Bowling Center at 694-4120.
Catch the Tops TV Bowling Challenge, Saturday at 7 p.m. here on the Empire Sports Network. Echelon Racquetball every Monday and Thursday on the Empire Sports Network.
Welcome back to Winter Speed, everyone. You know, this may have been very long in coming, but winter sports, and in particular bobsledding, is now finally feeling the presence of some very talented black athletes.
I don't think a lot of black athletes are exposed to the winter sports. I had never seen a bobsled before the National Push Championship, so I think that's the problem, the exposure. Now that more black athletes are coming out for bobsledding, I think it'll increase in years to come.
You know, when we talk about fielding an American Olympic team, we talk about a population of all kinds of people from all over the world, and we're all Americans, and our bottom line should be to field the best units possible, no matter what color, what religion, no matter what a person is. I think if an individual has a proper personality and is willing to work, it doesn't really matter. Apparently, this is one of the sports that there seems to be more black athletes moving into right away.
But really, there could be others. Speed skating.
There's a lot of others. Exactly. Right. Exactly. If there was rinks available in the black community, you'd probably see more speed skaters.
Do you think having big name athletes get involved in the winter sports will help recruit more black athletes into these sports?
Yeah, definitely. You know, as people know them as an own entity, and how they're highlighted in their separate sport, their specific sport, and then cross-referencing over to bobsledding, it should open the eyes for a lot of Americans, people, just period, not just the minorities, and hopefully some good athletes to come in here. And these athletes now, like Evan Moses, Willie Galton, Herschel Walker, they're going to open eyes to other great athletes so they can come into the sport. So I think it's great.
And a bit of a plug here. Next week on Winter Speed, we'll have an exclusive interview with Herschel Walker as Herschel takes his first ever run down a bobsled track. Right now, let's go back to the action in Calgary.
Welcome back to World Cup bobsledding. We're down to the final two sleds. It's Wolfgang Hoppe of Germany versus longtime rival Gustav Vader of Switzerland. Not only is this a great national rivalry, it's also a great personal rivalry.
He speaks probably less with Gustav than he does with most others. It just seems that Gustav seems to keep to himself.
It's Wolfgang Hoppe from Germany. He's a very good driver, and it seems that we two in two men are the best drivers in the world.
The medal's within his grasp. He's 21/100ths down to Gustav Vader, the next man to come down. He's only got a 12/100ths lead on his countryman, Dietrich. Hundredths of seconds in the sport of bobsledding. One of the greatest starting teams in the world. Wolfgang Hoppe, the best starter of the competition, 5:29. He's got the adrenaline flowing.
That surpasses the 5:30 we saw from Edwin Moses and Brian Scheimer, but that's going to translate into an excellent time down at the bottom.
He's got ice in his blood. This guy here, double gold medal winner from Sarajevo, 2 silver medals from Calgary. One of the best ever. 119 kilometers. 118.9.
He stays low on the sled. He's got to do that. He needs every 100th of a second to get in front.
He's got a 12/100ths lead. Little time to play with. We're talking 12/100ths, a little time. Dead heat. Watch out. His countryman Dietrich. He's losing time to him. Looks like about a 58.6. 57.91. Again, he found time in the bottom. It's Wolfgang Hoppe, one of the best ever. He just proved it out there. 0.08 of a second. But now as we go back to the top, the gentleman who won both gold medals last year in the World Championships in St. Moritz, the man who knows about pressure, it's Gustav Vader.
I always need pressure to compete well, and for me it's good to fight.
Curtin Morel on the bench. We're going for the gold medal here in World Cup bobsledding from Calgary.
They exploded out of the block there. They're getting lots of drive, and look at the turnover by the brakeman.
Their time, 5.30. They had a 33 in the first heat. They're saving the best for last. Gustav Darth Vader is what we call him up here in the bob track.
Look at how low his brakeman is in that sled. He's not going to cause any drag coefficient.
Head-to-head competition, the best in the world. That time on the left is Hoppe. Ooh, he's 200s, but he's got 21/100ths to play with.
And there's still a lot of track left.
118 plus will probably give him the medal. Oh, 119.2.
Germany number 1. Let's see what can happen in the lower part of the track. Number 1.
He's 12. He's not letting off. He's not even being conservative. He's going for the best time of the heat.
The track record official is 56.76 set by Haydenluck and Stovall.
57.69. Vader has the best time again in the heat. First. Gustav Vader, World Cup winner here in Calgary. He maintains his streak of winning every World Cup he's been in the last 2 years.
All right, so an exciting finish, as you might expect, at Canada Olympic Park. Taking the gold medal, the defending world champion, Gustav Vader of Switzerland. Just behind him, Olympic champion Wolfgang Hoppe. And in third place, teammate from Germany, Volker Dietrich. The Canadians take fourth and fifth. And USA sled number 1, driven by Brian Scheimer, with brakeman Edwin Moses, finishes in 8th. This year's champion, Gustav Vader.
And to win is always very happy and very good for the next races, for the next competitions.
A very good accomplishment that 3 sleds from Germany were in the top 6. At this early time, it's very good for them to have these kind of results, and they're looking for greater results leading up to the World Championships.
The first run we had some small problems. I sorted those out for the second run, and we really are happy overall with a 4th place finish, although it would be nice to finish higher.
Well, the more things change in our world, the more things stay the same. The United States and Canada had an impressive showing, but they're still not atop of the leaderboard like the Swiss and the Germans.
Well, an excellent finish for Gustav Vader. Wolfgang Hoppe really challenging him in second place, but 0.4 of a second is a big gap. Really happy with the Canadians in 4th and 5th, Brian Scheimer in 8th, and 2 more American sleds in the top 15. An excellent placing. And I think with a little more experience and those fast starts we've seen at the top, we're going to find them all on the podium shortly.
Thanks, Clark. For Clark Flynn, I'm John Morgan. Thanks for watching our action from Calgary. Let's go back to Tim Slinger now in our Lake Placid Winter Speed studio.
All right, thanks once again, John Morgan and Clark Flynn. They're closing down the public skating session here at the Olympic Oval in Lake Placid, and it's time to close up another session of Winter Speed. Join us next week as we have the North American Luge Championships. I'm Tim Singer. Thanks again for joining us.
Winter Speed has been brought to you by 9X. For quality, precision, and a competitive advantage, the answer is 9X. By Ray-Ban, sunglasses by Bosch & Lomb, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games. By York International, official sponsor of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. And by Jamaica Tourist Board, Air Jamaica, and Sandals, the Caribbean's #1 resort, all couples, all inclusive.